All right, would you please state your full name?
David Ruiz.
Okay. And you are the owner of Colorado Brazilian Jiu Jitsu Academy, is that correct?
Yes.
And what's your full title and your belt rank?
Owner, second degree black belt under Rigan Machado.
Rigan Machado. Okay, and your current age?
41.
You do not look that
42
old.
42 next month.
Really? Okay. You really don't.
This is how jiu-jitsu guys exfoliate their face. Deep burn and matte.
That's awesome. Years experience that you have?
17 years. I'm really bad with time, but I believe
So around
17,
there.
yeah.
Okay, over a decade at least. And the address here is 4990 East Asbury in Denver, Colorado. Is that correct?
Yes.
You are a second degree black belt, and your previous instructors include Helio and Royce.
Helio, Royce, Rorion, Gracie, and I did train shortly, just a little bit, under Ken Gabrielson before I went to the Machados. Ken Gabrielson was the second American black belt in the United States.
Okay.
Not too many people know.
Yeah.
I mean, new people. But yes, I'm a black belt, second degree black belt under Rigan Machado now, and trained under the Machado brothers.
Okay.
And I'm still good friends with the Gracie family. I've visited and stuff. I'm still in the Wall of Fame and everything, so I still have lots of friends, and we still communicate and everything.
Okay.
So I visit.
Your competitions that you've competed in include the Pan Ams.
Yes.
Which you, how did you finish that?
Finished in getting the gold.
Then the competition, yeah, it was a gold medal.
Yeah, it was a gold medal, but the way I won the gold medal was kind of nice. It was a submission, so it was spectacular. If you're gonna win it, that's kind of a nice way to win it.
Gotcha.
You didn't just
not barely scraping by.
Yeah, and advantages. And you were a black belt or brown belt at the time?
I was a brown belt at the time. I got my brown belt 2001, January 16th on a Monday, and I competed in the Pan Am's beginning in April and won it right away. And I thought, wow, but don't get me wrong, Pan Am's year after year after year and not winning.
That's true.
So it's.
And your affiliate organizations include?
We have Highlands Ranch, Colorado Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, Stapleton, Parker, and GV, which is Greenwood Village.
Greenwood Village.
And then us, Denver.
Models and stuff we're not going to have to, and the points of interest we're not to, because these can
we'll get
be extremely fluid. Okay, now we're actually begin the actual interview. Okay, that was just for the camera real quick. The very first thing that we do is a free expression. What I mean by that is there anything in particular that you would like to discuss or focus on for your own, not just own self-promotions, but there's any area that you would like to focus on, or an area of psychology or philosophy, ethics, morals, techniques, business practices, promotions, or competition aspects that you would like to focus on that you don't think gets enough spotlight in the media?
Not just the physical part, but the mental aspect, obviously. How our brain functions, how our brain works at its best, and getting to that state as quickly and efficiently as possible, because we don't want to have to get something where we have to work it up to that. We want it so it's like a switch, where we have these automatic cues where we can respond the appropriate way for that particular circumstance. Now, I may have a very successful formula for doing this, but if I apply that same formula to something else, it might not work. So I might need to have the neuroplasticity and the mental flexibility to adapt and to change a few things around, so that can come just as simplistic as this was in creating a better structure. And I'm always open-minded and have the mental flexibility enough to say, hey, you know what, if somebody comes up with me a better way to fill in this point here, to change this, I'm going to change. I'm willing to change to make it better if that's going to be a more efficient and effective way of doing things. So I think people need to operate the brain at a much more efficient way.
So pliability, adaptability, and like a spontaneous reflexive responses, which in combat or in the competition, a spontaneous reflexive response is obviously which we try to cultivate in your students, but they have to have the pliability and adaptability to adjust to a situation or a particular formula that they're unfamiliar with.
Exactly. You have to be able to adapt, for sure.
Do you feel that traditional jiu-jitsu focuses more on that than most other arts do?
Yes and no.
Okay.
No, for the fact that they may not get in depth on the way the mind works and how to most effectively apply that to what we do. But in the process of learning what we do, things are right in front of our face. And it took me years and years and years to understand that and studying the brain and understand that what Helio provided for me was there all along. But now that I've taken a different perspective and worked on it more, now this is getting better as a result. When before I thought that was the final limit of my technique and how far I can go with that technique. But once I understand how things worked with the mind and how I can make it more easier, more proficient, and go right to the go-tos and the key points of what makes the move work, now I'm looking at things with a different perspective. I've created a meaningful experience for myself, and now when that circumstance pops up again, bang, I'm on it right away.
Absolutely, absolutely. So an internal process. As a man thinketh, so he is. So the inside of the man and his neurology and his emotions and his intellect and his passion, obviously you're going to influence the kinetics, is what you're saying. So the kinetic response is obviously dependent upon the internal mechanism. And once the internal mechanism is sharp, then the external mechanism can apply to the various formulas or situation.
Exactly. And at first we have to think about these things. And we have to apply these things. But after a while, we want it to come to unconscious confidence, where it's just natural, where we don't have to think about it, where we don't need the formula. Our bodies are an automatic response because our brain is so efficient now. We've paved the way so many times that is now fully paved, and we can just straight shot a beeline right to that. We don't have to find our way through the weeds anymore. We've created that path so many times that it's just a straight shot and it's much easier. So yes.
Okay. Tell us about how you began your journey in martial arts, particularly in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and how old were you, and what was your mindset going in?
Absolutely. It's funny because I've taken a lot of different martial arts when I was a kid. I was born and raised in San Francisco. I saw the first Bruce Lee movies come out when my dad took me to Chinatown when they first came out in the early 70s, because I've been around a long time. And I used to watch them in my dad's truck in the drive-in theater, Bruce Lee movies when they first came out. And I've seen a lot of different things, and that's what set the spark in martial arts. And then I started taking different martial arts and growing up. And there's always been a mysticism about, oh, the smaller, weaker person can beat a bigger, stronger person, blah, blah, blah. But I never really found that to be true when I, entered the real world and real life. And I wasn't even into martial arts anymore at a certain point. I was a full-grown adult. I moved from Colorado, from here. I went to high school here and everything. I went to Arizona with my girlfriend. We both worked these petty jobs. I was just getting out in life. Didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have much of a direction. And then I was off work one day, and I decided to go. I live right next by ASU, Arizona, and there was a martial arts store. And I'm like, I'll just go in. I'm bored. Nothing else to do. There's a martial arts store. Cool. I'm gonna go in there. Look at the stars and nunchucks, all this other stuff. And maybe there's some videos, something I can watch. I wasn't even into martial arts anymore. So I saw these videos and I saw, real blood, real fights, Gracie brothers, right? And Gracie Jiu Jitsu in action was the first one, first and only at the time. And I was like, I heard about these guys in a magazine in the late 80s. And I saw something from my friend's magazine, And I was like, cool, real blood, real fights. I'm renting it. So I rented it. I wanted to be entertained. I was bored. Threw it in. It was Rorion Gracie talking about Gracie Jiu Jitsu, the effectiveness of Jiu Jitsu, the science behind it, why it worked, as you were watching real fights. It made so much common sense that I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And honestly, I kid you not, I watched it about 1,000 times. And I started telling and preaching to everybody, man, you don't believe this. This is it. Nobody was listening, of course, because UFC wasn't even around. So then, I watched it over and over and over, and I was just like, man, I got to take this one everywhere. Couldn't find it anywhere. Real jiu-jitsu. I mean, the Japanese jiu-jitsu, and judo, and all kinds of different stuff. But then, I came across Gracie Jiu Jitsu only offered in Los Angeles. So what I did is, my mom wanted a ticket to go to Los Angeles on this thing. So I went to Los Angeles. I looked up in the phone book, Gracie's. I found Rorion. I called his home. I'm like, where's the school? And the UFC wasn't even out yet. Where's the school? Blah, blah. He's like, oh, he's my friend. Blah, blah, blah. Come on over here. I'll meet you at the school. So I met him at the school. I bought my t-shirt. I wore it religiously. And I thought, oh man, look at me. But the UFC wasn't even, nobody knows what it is. I thought it was just the world to me. And then I bought Gracie Jiu Jitsu in Action 2. It just came out. Well, I had to watch that 1,000 times, go back home, go to the drawing board. I picked on my girlfriend's little brothers. Come here. I picked on my girlfriend. Let me do this to you. Let me try this out. Then I got my girlfriend got me the Gracie Jiu Jitsu basics. So I got the whole set. Watched it, practiced on her and her little brothers, And then we moved to Arizona, and then finally at that time I was like, you know what, I got a gold card. Like, you know, a lot of young college kids do, and I've got a gold card, and that was my credit card. I had a $5,000 limit. So what do? I put my stuff in storage, I left my girlfriend where she was, I went straight to California, I put the whole $5 grand on the Gracie Academy in 3 months. I broke the record, 150 classes in 3 months. I was gung-ho, and I knew, you know what, I gotta stay persistent, I can't just go gung-ho and not do it again, you know, I gotta stay persistent. And I met incredible people, and they saw my dedication, and they had the same passion for life that I did in jiu-jitsu, and it just stuck. Royce took me in, and at that point, for the first time ever, they were doing the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu instructional program. And you had to sign and do an application and all that. And of course I had to go through all that, but they already liked me, and it was Royce and Rorion. They were like, "You're in."
More of a formality, in a sense. More of a formality in a sense.
Yes. But for a guy like me, because I was there, most people were from outside of the out there, all over the place in other states and everything. So there was just a handful of us, one small handful, and a couple local guys that were there, and it was like living in a Shaolin temple. Eat, breathe, and sleep. I was there all morning and all night. Midday, I would go home, I would take smart drugs, eat a sandwich, watch black belt videos, and take smart drugs where I would absorb the information much better to my brain. I would take vasopressin, which creates the synapses in long-term memory and short-term and everything, and helps you recall mass amounts of information. So I was taking that so I can learn jiu-jitsu faster. Plus I was listening to binaural beats or listening to Mozart while I was watching the black belt matches, so I'd absorb the information better. Then I'd fall asleep, so I absorbed the information better, and wake up, go to the beach, come back with sand in my hair, and train all night again, and do the next thing over and over again every single day. Eat, breathe, and sleep. It was like being a Shaolin monk. And we were basically their soldiers. If Rorion or Royce said to do something, we did it. If there was a challenge match, we would do it. And that's when the challenge matches were really popular.
We'll start and all that stuff with them. What was it like, if you could share with us one of your memories, like a funny memory you have of training with Rorion or one of them?
I have many. And me and a small group of us were usually the fire starters of it.
Oh, really?
But yes, we would play a lot of practical jokes and pranks on everybody, and it'd usually be me and my friend Eric Meyer, who lives down there still, and we would, and Royce would be on it. And we'd have the dummy, and we have one here, and it's a training dummy. And what we would do is we would dress up like the dummy with the hood, get the duct tape around the wrist, put the gi on, and stand stiff like the dummy. And the first person we got, Royce.
Oh, really?
So what we do, we get Royce, and we scared everything out.
Scared him pretty good.
All he said was, you, come with me. He's like, he takes us to the back room, he's like, so, who are we going to get next? That's all he could think about. So, we had all these visitors all over the place, from all over the United States, coming in to train with us, to be a part of the program and everything, because it was the place to be at the time. You know, we had interviews from every single continent. Asia, Europe, all over America's newspapers, magazines, people, all famous people coming over to interview us. It was like the place to be at the time when the UFC first came out. So it was just like something new all the time. A challenge match here, an interview here, this cool person here, you know. It was candy land for us. Gotcha. It was great. But we would everybody knew would come in, we would trick him with the dummy. With Steve Maxwell, we got him once. We thought we actually killed the guy. Oh, he leaped, I swear to God, 30 feet, didn't move, we thought we killed him. One guy didn't budge. Another guy, who's pretty famous in the world and the jiu-jitsu community, I'm not even going to mention his name,
Gotcha.
But he basically fell against the wall, rolled down the wall, standing up, screaming, his legs and arms flaring out, screaming high-pitched like a girl, and we got it on film.
Oh, that's great. That's
so
even better home video.
I haven't released it yet. But yes, we used to play a lot of practical jokes, and we had a lot of fun. It was supposed to be fun.